Hello, everyone. I'm speaking to Dr. Wolfgang Ressmann, President of Media Dialogue, and from Germany, and the head of the New European People's Forum, the international organization. He has an extensive experience in the media and civil society sphere, and we're going to discuss the latest development and critical issues in Europe today. Hello, Dr. Ressmann. How are you? Thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Darella. Great to meet you here.
Yes, well, let's go with the most pressing issues these days. Germany's recent recall of its ambassador to Georgia signals more than a protest, more than just a protest. Understanding how civil society, like Media Dialogue, interpret possible next steps will help foresee and possibly plan the broader strategic environment. So, what can you say about Media Dialogue's recent work in Georgia and that region, and the region as such? Since we really need your insight into the situation to go on with this conversation, I think this is it's very valuable to see what your findings are.
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. We really have a serious development in Georgia. Not there, the sign is that the German government called the German ambassador Peter Fischer back for reporting to Berlin. This is a serious sign, but it's the result of a long-term development. In Georgia, Georgia was the first post-Soviet country which wanted to be orientated to the EU, becoming member of the EU, even NATO in the beginning. And after collapse of Soviet Union, a big process of democratization started. And now we have a rollback with really with really dramatic signs for the civil society. And for Media Dialogue, it means a lot of consequences at the moment for our work in Georgia and for the work with Georgians. So we normally we make our projects in Georgia together with our partners from universities or from NGOs, making media trainings, discussing democratic press issues, and so on, and without any influence of the government. This year, it was just a big difference to the years before because Georgian government wanted to know the contract which we have with the German government as a German NGO, and so that was not possible to run this project in Georgia in this year. We met a lot of Georgians in Georgia. We had been there for 2 days. Also had a meeting in the German embassy and discussing the repression of the Georgian government to the democratic forces, and I would say to the democratic majority in Georgia.
So you had some conversations in the German embassy in Tbilisi. What were the main takeouts? I mean, as much as you can say, of course. I believe those conversations were behind the closed doors. But what were the main findings there? Maybe takeouts.
The main focus focused on the German role in the process of democratization process in Georgia. Yeah, we discussed the current situation. We discussed how to manage it, that our partners, our friends and colleagues are working under conditions which could be or which really in present times are dangerous. and how to handle this situation. And this was in the middle. One of the results was, like we did it, to have some informal meetings in Georgia, and we made the official program from Armenia with our Georgian friends, this time online, and Georgian participants will, and this was also a point of discussion when we talked to the representatives in the embassy, Georgian participants will take part on the media dialogue project in the Ukrainian Moldova stage and in the Berlin stage. So not in Georgia, but with our Georgian friends,
Right.
other Europe locations.
As someone with an extensive experience, really deep knowledge about the issues in this region, including Georgia, but also someone who understands German politics, I would like to know what might be the next move of the German government in this context, especially in respect of the recent developments and the diplomatic escalation with Georgia. What would be the next move of Germany now?
I think that the ambassador went home for reporting to Berlin. Was a strong sign to the Georgian government that there is that the Georgian government reached a point where no consultations are in the middle, where confrontation is in the middle. I think that this sign is also important to show that a change of politics, not only from German side, also from European Union side, in the support of Georgia, economically support, political support, and so on, can be stopped. Is one of the possible reactions, but also that our solidarity and the solidarity of the government and from the civil society is on the side of the Democrats, the NGOs, and the democratic public in Georgia, supporting the 100,000s of Georgians going to demonstrations, going to the streets and saying no to this politics of governments. The civil society itself is really fighting in Georgia. And I think our common task, government, European Union, and NGOs has to support the civil society protests. And this is
absolutely
one sign, and the next steps. This fight in Georgia for democratic development is not over. Let me say it in a way, perhaps it's just starting.
Of course, we've seen and we've been closely following the developments in Georgia and the long-standing resistance of the democratic forces there, especially of the youth who are pro-democracy, pro-European oriented, not only pro-European Union, but also pro-European values, pro-democratic values. And we've seen also how the government has tackled these protests with strong pressure, with police brutality, and with shutting down civil society and media actors there. But on the German side, if we still stay on the German side, what internal and external factors or the pressures will shape Berlin's decision-making in the coming weeks and months?
Yeah, let's see. It's a question how the Georgian so-called dream is reacting in its confrontation, in its politics of confrontation. It's a question what's going on in the economic way. It's a question what's going on in the relations between Russia and Georgia. this is the main
Yeah,
point in
indeed.
the background, that the Georgian dreams, the Georgian president made a lot of money in Georgia. I think he is still making a lot of money in Georgia. Point.
Yes, yes.
There are really hard interests from this right-wing populist government to have more narrow connections to Russia. It depends on the development in Ukraine. What's going on with the war in Ukraine? Is there a possibility for peace? And when there is a possibility of for peace,
What kind of peace it will be, it also
yeah,
depends on that, yes.
this is the most important point, and how the Georgian public is reacting to this whole development. All the things have a big influence to the next steps. Also, on the other side, Turkey is playing a role which should not be underestimated in the whole region and in Georgia. Also Turkey has interests, and this interest might not be the same like the Russian interests and the Georgian interest. So you do not have one line. You have different players in a situation which is absolutely dangerous in the whole Caucasus region. One point which is also necessary to imagine again was the war from Russia against Georgia, and to cut off South Ossetia and Abkhazia from the motherland, and how that will, what influenced the discussion about a new role of Russia in Georgia,
Yes.
published by this Georgian so-called dream, how the reaction will be. So let's see. They make repression. They are the ones who are using fear. Fear is in the middle of all the things happening in Georgia now. Fear of being imprisoned, fear of some journalists are imprisoned. Meanwhile, fear of being arrested and being beaten by the police, security forces, and so on. But on the other side, who knows the mentality of Caucasus? In the Caucasus region, people are strong, and people are defeating.
Defiant, you mean? Yes. Well, this is, yes. What you just outlined here gives us a very complicated regional but also international set of factors, players, actors, and it's like a very complicated chess game. And good that you mentioned all the actors, both internal and external, that might have strong influence on the development of the situation. On the other side, it looks like Tbilisi, the government in Tbilisi, is sometimes competing with South Ossetia and Abkhazia, the authorities that are actually the occupational authorities dictated by the Kremlin. That Tbilisi is sometimes competing with them in being closer to Moscow than themselves, than the occupied territories. And on that account, it practices a brutal authoritarian regime against its own population, and that's really sad to see. And possibly the German moves now will ease the pressure against the democratic forces in the country. On the other side, it will be critical to at least foresee or see how Tbilisi will react to Germany. Will it try to reconcile, or will it escalate the rhetoric and continue with the confrontational politics against Europe, and in this particular case, against Germany as one of the leading European Union forces?
Yeah, I mean, Georgia has in its constitution the way to a European Union. It's one constitutional based aim in Georgia to become member of the European Union. At the moment, this process is stopped. On the other side, Russia is no longer so strong as it was before the war against Ukraine. And Georgia is also not a country which is very rich. And Georgia needs international trade relations. Georgia needs the international community and especially the European community. And in this European community, they need Germany as one of the strongest countries in the European Union. So it's not so easy for them to say we are sailing direction Kremlin, because on the they also have their own people, which I know that a big percentage of the Georgian territory is occupied by Russia. This is not a thing to make friends in Georgia, and so there is, I think, no direct way. We will. This is a day-by-day struggle, and we have to imagine that, in my eyes, the so-called Georgian dream is a right-wing populist government, and part of all these movements. And when you have a look at the European right-wing populist, you see that they have all problems with connecting to other countries. Cooperation is not in the middle of their politics. Separation is in the middle. And so there are a lot of things which are unclear at the moment in the development. I think making pressure to the political, economic pressure to the government in Tbilisi, and a big support for Georgian opposition, and to help the NGOs to survive and to come to action outside of Georgia. For example, like one of our participants told us, that there was a film festival from Georgian filmmakers now made in Poland. And like we now invite Georgian activists and Georgian NGO representatives to take part in the Media Dialogue project now in Ukraine and Moldova. And there must be a big support because they need help. And this is not only the thing that the Georgian government did them cut off of help. It's the same thing what Trump government did with cutting off US aid. This is also a big problem and shows who are behind, which ghost, in inverted commas, is behind this development.
Yes, I see. Surely there is another set of issues that we can discuss here, especially about the response of the civil society, of the independent media, not only in Georgia, but also in the broader region or in Europe and beyond. And in that context, having your extensive experience in the region and currently being involved in Georgia with Media Dialogues projects, can you tell us what role can the civil society play here? And of course, the independent media, the independent journalists. What I heard what you were doing in Georgia as Media Dialogue, but what do you think your next steps will be? And maybe can you set an example of what other civil society organizations can and should do whether they come from the region or from the broader European context, including civil from North Macedonia or possibly the Defending Democracy Global Initiative, which is an initiative established last year in December, to which you personally contributed as a co-founder. So, to put it shortly, what is the role of the civil society in the period ahead? Can you set an example what we can do as a civil society, as media, as independent journalists and intellectuals as well?
Yeah, first of all,
I know it's a difficult question, but
but I think it's not so hard to find an answer. First of all, we have to inform about the development in Georgia. We have to inform our audiences in Western Europe, in the Balkan region, everyone that Georgia is a part of Europe and is an important part of Europe concerning the Russian foreign politics. What is Russia the same? What is Russia trying to the west, to the border to Poland, to the Baltic states, up to the Balkan states? This is the same politics they also do in Georgia. They also try to do in the Caucasus region. This fight for democracy, human rights, and this fight against this Russian imperialism is the point we have to inform. That means that all Europe is at the moment in a situation fighting against Russian imperialism, hybrid warfare, and supporting Ukraine against the Russian aggression. The development in Georgia is one part of this very big play, when I can say it in these words. Therefore, we have to inform our audiences what's going on and to show the big picture. And when we are showing the big picture, what's going on in whole Europe, it becomes more and more important also for news magazines, for reporting in our media, in TV, online, and so on. It's not only this little Caucasus country, Georgia. This is Georgia is one part, one important puzzle part of the whole situation in the morning, in the moment, and we have to look, and we have to have an eye on it in our reporting. Then we have to use political pressure. What we can do, and that also means to as NGOs and as journalists and so on, to make to us, our members of parliament, our members of government in the EU institutions, that we know how important Georgia is, to support them. And if they don't have Georgia too much focused, we help them to focus. We can help them to focus Georgia. And a very important thing is that the contacts we have to Georgia, to NGOs, universities, and so on, are not, cannot be stopped by a Georgian dream, by this Georgian dream. For example, at the moment, this law of foreign agents, which made us impossible to work together based on a project funded by the Media Dialogue, funded by the German government. It was not possible to do, but what we can do are developing Erasmus Plus projects by the European Union on the scientific base. We are working on it, and we will do it. We have to find new ways, and we have to find ways which the government in Tbilisi cannot cut off. These are challenges, a big challenge, a lot of challenges, But we have to work on it and to show that the Georgian protest movement and the Georgian opposition, or let's say the Georgian majority under repression, is not forgotten. And this together are working possibilities with effects.
Yes, Dr. Ressmann, it's indeed a very important point that you're making here. We must not let the Georgian society be forgotten. We've learned that in a hard way, in a tragic way, I would say, with the Ukrainian example after the first aggression of the Kremlin against the Ukrainian nation in 2014. And we've been waiting for too long to react to the expansionism and imperialism dictated from the Kremlin. And also before that against Georgia with the South Ossetia and several other crises. Now is the time to respond to these imperialistic operations and to stand up against the authoritarian rule that is brutally reckoning with democratic forces in their own societies, disregarding fundamental human rights and freedoms, fundamental rights of people to information, to life, to freedom, and to freedom of gathering as well. So this is an important point that you make, not only about Georgia, but about all other societies that are facing democratic backsliding, about which you also spoke at the October, recent October conference about defending democracy, battlefield of truth in Skopje. And it was a great contribution by you and the organization that you're leading as part of this initiative and as part of that project also that took place in Skopje. We need to connect, we need to work together, as you said, in order to stop these trends of the authoritarian rise in that region, in any other region in Europe.
Yeah, this will be the task, to build a fisher net where the right-wing populists have no chance to escape.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Ressmann, for being here with us today. And let's stay in touch about the updates and developments, and especially about the very interesting and important work that you're doing with Media Dialogue and also with the Defending Democracy Global Initiative. Thank you very much once again. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Skopje.